Hello, my name is Ashley, and I'm 14 years old. I care a lot about my school achievements and keeping a low profile, but my older brother Matthew is the exact opposite. Matt and I were very close growing up. He always treated me like a princess. However, with time we grew apart, especially since Matt started high school. He changed a lot. He started hanging out with the wrong crowd and dating random girls that always got him in trouble. On top of that, he smoked and drank alcohol with his cool friends. But that's all I knew about his crazy lifestyle, which I was sure there was more to. Because of his life choices that I didn't approve of, it was hard for us to get along anymore. We always fought, and he called me lame at every chance he got. Despite this, I still loved him, but I wished things between us would go back to the way they were. With that hope, days went by as we grew further apart. I tried to focus on my school achievements to stand out between my classmates, but the real reason for my effort was because I felt like I needed to prove to everyone that I wasn't anything like my brother, which was sometimes a really hard job. Whenever I meet new people, their attitude would change as soon as they knew that my brother was Matthew. Most times, that was enough of a reason for them to stay away from me. However, I didn't really mind, and I kept myself isolated and didn't socialize much. Until one day, my brother's bad choices somehow managed to ruin my life. It started as a normal day. I got up in the morning, had breakfast with the rest of my family, and went up to get ready for school while Mom made us sandwiches. I arrived at school and was excited for my first class of the day, which was biology. Miss Andrews was one of my favorite teachers at school, and I always tried to impress her with maintaining an excellent performance at her class. Typically, Mrs. Andrews would check our homework, which of course I didn't mind because I was always prepared. I opened my backpack and looked for my notebook. Something felt different. The bag smelled funny, and my stuff was not in there. I started taking out the things in the bag as I was realizing that this bag was not mine. It was Matthew's stinky bag. Ugh! How didn't I notice that I was carrying his bag? My mom's idea of getting us both the same black bag she found on sale has definitely proven its failure. With all these thoughts going through my head, I didn't notice that everyone was staring at me. They all looked shocked as if they saw a ghost. I started thinking how I shouldn't have made a scene by taking out all of the stuff from the bag, but it seems like they were already overreacting to what happened. I looked at Mrs. Andrews, hoping that she'll say something to take the attention away from me, but instead she looked horrified as she was staring at my desk. That moment, I understood that something was terribly wrong. I looked at my desk where I had piled all the stuff from the bag, and on top of them, there was a stash of white pills that were divided into small transparent plastic bags. My heart started beating fast, and I couldn't move my body. This was Matthew's. And now everyone's thinking that I'm carrying drugs around. Shortly after, I was sent to the principal's office, obviously. The principal asked me if the drugs were mine. With a shaking voice, I answered yes. I don't know why I took the blame, but I couldn't bring myself to tell on my brother. The principal looked disappointed and said, "Turns out you're just as bad as your brother." My parents arrived within a few minutes, and after they spent 2 hours in the principal's office, they got out, looked at me in a way that I'll never forget, and my mom said, "You got expelled from school. Bravo, Ashley. We're proud of you." The principal thankfully respects us, and this is why the scandal only ended with expulsion. During the ride home, my parents were very angry. They kept screaming at me and blaming me for becoming one of those. They said they had always thought of me as the good child, but now I proved that wrong. I think my parents were never as angry in their whole life. They said I was their hope, and now I ruined their reputation in the town, too. And they wish they could know what they did wrong raising me and Matthew. They didn't stop listing all the reasons in the world to be disappointed. I was heartbroken, but said nothing. As soon as we got home, I had only one thing in my mind. I rushed into Matt's room, fuming with anger at him. I slammed the door shut after I entered and simply started to cry and shout at him for putting me in this position. I explained to him that I took the blame on myself because everyone was giving him a last chance to behave, and I didn't want him to lose everything. It was the first time in several years that I look into Matthew's eyes and I tell him that I love him. I told him that he will always be my precious brother that I care about more than he can even imagine. Matthew's eyes filled with tears as he came up to me and hugged me. He apologized and promised to change all his lifestyle and focus more on what matters. That was his thank you, and I couldn't be any happier. What happened after that was a good result of a very bad situation.